Winning the War Within. Overcoming Jealousy. Applying Biblical Wisdom to Modern Life. There's an ancient emotion that has plagued humanity since the beginning of time. One so powerful it led to the first murder in human history. It whispers lies that sound like truth, disguises itself as justice, and builds invisible prisons around our hearts. The Bible calls it jealousy, and it may be one of the most destructive forces we face in our daily lives. Unlike other negative emotions that come and go, jealousy has a peculiar quality. It feeds on what should bring us joy. It transforms celebration into suffering, friendship into competition, and blessings into burdens. The ancient writer of Proverbs understood this when he wrote, "A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones." But here's what's remarkable about biblical wisdom. It doesn't just diagnose the problem, it offers the cure. Through stories of brothers, kings, and ordinary people, Scripture reveals that jealousy is not just a feeling to manage, but a choice to make. And that choice, made daily in small moments, can either enslave us or set us free. This is Sarah's story, a modern tale of an ancient struggle and the unexpected path to freedom she discovered along the way. Sarah stared at her computer screen, the congratulatory email from corporate still open in her inbox. Please join us in celebrating Jessica Chin's promotion to Regional Marketing Director. The words blurred as she read them for the 5th time in 10 minutes. That was supposed to be her promotion. She'd worked at Morrison & Associates for 3 years, putting in 60-hour weeks, leading successful campaigns, building client relationships. Jessica had only been there 18 months. Sure, she was talented, but Sarah had seniority. She had earned this. Did you see the announcement? Marcus from accounting leaned against her cubicle wall, coffee in hand. Jessica's moving up fast. Good for her, right? Sarah forced a smile that felt like broken glass. Yeah, great news. The rest of the morning crawled by in a haze of bitter thoughts. During the team meeting, she found herself dissecting everything Jessica said, looking for flaws that weren't there. When their boss praised Jessica's innovative thinking, Sarah's chest tightened with something ugly and familiar. At lunch, she sat alone in her car, scrolling through Jessica's LinkedIn. The congratulatory comments poured in. Asterisk so deserved. Couldn't happen to a better person. Your hard work is paying off. Asterisk each notification felt like a small knife twist. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Asterisk. Hey, want to grab coffee after work? I'd love to talk about the transition and maybe get your insights on the Henderson account. Asterisk. Sarah typed and deleted 3 different responses before settling on. Asterisk can't today. Swamped with deadlines. Asterisk. It wasn't true. She just couldn't bear sitting across from Jessica's glowing face, pretending to be happy while this green shadow consumed her from the inside. That evening, Sarah drove to her grandmother's house, a small ritual she'd maintained since moving to the city. Nana always had dinner ready and wisdom to spare, though tonight Sarah wasn't sure she wanted either. You look troubled, sweetheart, Nana said, setting down a plate of her famous lasagna. At 83, she had an uncanny ability to read Sarah's moods. Just work stuff. Sarah pushed the food around her plate. Someone got promoted over me today. Ah, Nana's knowing nod said she understood more than Sarah had revealed. That stings. It's not fair, Nana. I've been there longer. I work harder. And Jessica, Sarah caught herself before the venom in her thoughts spilled out. Tell me about Jessica. Sarah hesitated. How could she explain that Jessica was everything she wanted to be? Confident without being arrogant, innovative without being reckless, liked by everyone without trying too hard. She's actually really good at her job. And nice, which somehow makes it worse. Nana was quiet for a long moment, then stood and walked to her bookshelf. She returned with a worn Bible, its pages soft from decades of use. You know, there's a story in here about 2 brothers, she said, settling back in her chair. Cain and Abel. God favored Abel's offering over Cain's, and Cain became consumed with jealousy. Sarah knew the story. It didn't end well. But before Cain did something terrible, Nana continued, God warned him. He said, "Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." She looked at Sarah over her reading glasses. Jealousy is like that. It crouches at the door of our hearts, wanting to devour our joy, our relationships, our peace. Sarah felt her defenses rising. "So, I'm supposed to just be happy about it? Pretend I don't care?" "No, honey. Disappointment is natural. Even God understands that." Nana flipped through the pages. But there's another story about King Saul and young David. When David's popularity grew, Saul's jealousy turned him into someone he never intended to be. It consumed him, destroyed his relationships, and ultimately his kingdom. The comparison hit closer to home than Sarah wanted to admit. She thought about her behavior today. The forced smiles, the scrutinizing, the deliberate distance from Jessica. "What's the alternative?" Sarah asked quietly. Nana turned to another page. "Paul wrote about this. He said we should rejoice with those who rejoice. Not because it's easy, but because celebrating others' success actually frees us from the prison of comparison." That sounds impossible. It is without help. Nana reached across and squeezed Sarah's hand. "But here's what I've learned in 83 years. God's timing isn't our timing, and His plans aren't our plans. When we trust that, really trust it, we can stop clutching so tightly to what we think we deserve." That night, Sarah lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Nana's words echoed in her mind, but the resentment still simmered. She picked up her phone and opened Instagram, immediately regretting it when Jessica's stories appeared. Photos from a celebration dinner with friends, all of them beaming. The green shadow crept closer. But then she remembered something else Nana had said. Jealousy is a prison we build for ourselves. As she scrolled through the photos, Sarah realized how true that was. While Jessica was celebrating with people who genuinely cared about her success, Sarah was alone in her apartment, poisoning herself with bitterness. She was the only one suffering from her jealousy. The next morning, Sarah arrived at work early and found Jessica already at her desk, looking slightly overwhelmed as she sorted through congratulatory emails and transition documents. Sarah stood in the doorway for a moment, watching her colleague, her friend, navigate this new responsibility. For the first time in days, she saw Jessica clearly, not as a threat or competition, but as someone who was probably nervous about living up to expectations, someone who could use support from a friend. Taking a deep breath, Sarah knocked on the doorframe. "Hey, congrats on the promotion. I'm sorry I was short with you yesterday. I was dealing with some stuff." Jessica's face lit up with relief. "Thanks, Sarah. And no worries about yesterday. I actually wanted to ask if you'd be interested in leading the Henderson project under the new structure. I know you have great ideas for it." Sarah felt something shift inside her chest, a loosening of the knot she'd carried for days. "I'd like that." "Great. Also, I was hoping, could we grab lunch today? I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with all this, and I could really use a friend who knows the company inside and out." This time, Sarah's smile came naturally. "Absolutely." As they walked to lunch together, Sarah's phone buzzed with a notification. Instead of checking it immediately, she let it wait. For the first time in days, she was present in the moment, listening as Jessica shared her concerns about the new role and her hopes for their team. "You know," Jessica said as they settled into a corner booth at their favorite cafe, "I almost turned down the promotion." Sarah nearly choked on her water. "What? What?" "Imposter syndrome, mainly. I kept thinking there were people more qualified, like you. You've been such a mentor to me, even if you didn't realize it." The irony wasn't lost on Sarah. While she'd been consumed with jealousy, Jessica had been battling her own insecurities. They were both human, both flawed, both trying to do their best in an imperfect world. "I'm glad you didn't turn it down," Sarah said, and meant it. "You're going to be great at this." Over the next few weeks, something remarkable happened. As Sarah chose to celebrate Jessica's success instead of resenting it, she found herself more creative, more collaborative, more at peace. The Henderson Project flourished under her leadership, and her relationship with Jessica deepened into genuine friendship. More importantly, Sarah discovered that supporting others' success didn't diminish her own prospects. It enhanced them. When another promotion opportunity arose 2 months later, Jessica was the first to recommend Sarah for the position. One evening, as Sarah packed up her things after another productive day, she thought about Nana's words. Asterisk, God's timing isn't our timing. Asterisk, maybe her grandmother was right. Maybe the path Sarah had planned wasn't the only path to fulfillment. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Asterisk, drinks tonight to celebrate your promotion? I know just the place. Asterisk, Sarah smiled as she typed back. Asterisk, absolutely. And thank you for everything. Asterisk, walking to her car, Sarah reflected on the journey from that bitter Monday morning to this moment. The green shadow that had once threatened to consume her had been replaced by something brighter. The joy that comes from genuine community, from celebrating others, from trusting that there's room for everyone to succeed. She thought of Cain's choice and Saul's destruction, but also of Paul's wisdom and David's faithfulness. The same God who had warned Cain about sin crouching at his door had also provided a way to rule over it. As she drove toward the restaurant where Jessica waited, Sarah whispered a prayer of gratitude, not just for her own promotion, but for the friend who had shown her that success shared is success multiplied. The green shadow was gone, replaced by the warm light of authentic relationship and trust in a bigger plan than her own. Sarah's story reminds us that jealousy may be an ancient enemy, but so is the wisdom to overcome it. In every moment when we choose celebration over comparison, support over sabotage, trust over control, we echo the biblical truth that has set countless hearts free. Perfect love casts out fear, and perfect joy has room for everyone. The choice is always ours. The door to the prison is always unlocked. We just have to choose to walk through it. As Sarah learned, the greatest victory isn't defeating others, but conquering ourselves. Thank you for joining us on Bright Hearts channel. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video if this story touched your heart.